All right, good afternoon, everybody. And thanks for coming to this panel. It's aptly titled, How Solana Shapes the Future of Internet Capital Markets. My name is Anjung, and I'm the head of Superteam APAC. I'll start it off basically with, can you kind of introduce yourself, Ka, and tell us a little bit about what you do in Birdeye?
Sure, thank you very much. And thank you everybody to stay in here until here. This is the afternoon of the second day, and appreciate that. My name is Ka. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Birdeye. So Birdeye is actually for the one who doesn't know that we work on the data business. We're indexing crypto data from Solana and many other chains as well. And then we're providing basically crypto trading data to a lot of traders around the world, both the retail traders and also institutions as well. Thank you very much.
Before we get into internet capital markets, I kind of want to talk a little bit more about Birdeye so people can have a little bit of a context into what we're going to be talking about. I guess you've grown Birdeye into being probably one of the premier on-chain tools in the Solana ecosystem on a global scale. So we're extremely proud as a Vietnamese company doing so well. Can you tell us something that's interesting about like user behavior on Birdeye?
Yeah, sure. So we have been working on Birdeye for about nearly 4 years now. We've been around for like going through a few cycles of the market, and currently we are serving about 20-30 million users since day one. And then from the very start, we built Birdeye just like for a very, very simple reason. Is because we don't have any tools on Solana to see token price. But then we build the tools for ourselves first, and then we figure out that okay, there's a lot of other people actually also needing the same tools. So we expected our users to use it for that purpose. But then as the product evolved and the ecosystem evolved, then there's a lot of people actually using Birdeye for many other purposes. For example, like the devs actually using Birdeye to test their programs, to test their decks, and then the traders are actually using Birdeye to spot for the gems, like finding the new tokens to invest. And not only, and we built Birdeye even before all the meme coins appear. So when the meme coin appears, we have Bong and many others tokens, and then all the meme coin traders going to use Birdeye for that. And all of those moments are very surprising to us. It was not intentional at all from the start.
Wow. I mean, wow, 4 to 5 years, 20 to 30 million users, that's massive. I think that's probably one of the largest protocols, in all of Web3. Was there a moment when you were running Birdeye and you thought like, okay, this is like way bigger than I imagined?
Yeah, there are a few moments like that one. And if any of you here using Birdeye from very like in the first year, like 2021, 2022, then you may remember that there was a few times that Birdeye actually crashed. So it was like when the meme coin appear and there are some new tokens appear, and there's a wave of new users going to Birdeye, and then it crashed the site because we originally we didn't intend that. Okay,
we know that problem. Yeah. Solana understands.
So there was sometimes like we crash every few days, and to the level that there are some projects actually using Birdeye crash as a status for their success. Like we successfully crashed Birdeye because so many users using that, and that was the moment I think that okay, we actually have to level up the game here. We actually have to have professional infrastructures, and we actually have to build everything from scratch again.
Wow. That's how you scale to 20-30 million users. I mean, those are the growing pains of what happens. So Birdeye and other DeFi apps really paved the way for this concept of internet capital markets, which is, from the Solana perspective, I think, Lily and a lot of people have defined it essentially as lowering the investment barrier for both investors and issuers, allowing anybody pretty much with a mobile device own assets and participate in like the economy's upside. So I guess my question, and this is where I'd like to start the conversation, is like, what does internet capital markets mean to you and Birdeye itself?
Yes. So from our point of view, internet capital market is something very important in the way that it actually lower all the barriers for the general public to access to the capital, which is something pretty difficult to do in the traditional financial market. For example, if you want to raise in public capital right now here in Vietnam, you actually have to go through a very, very long process to reach to the point that you can do IPO, right? There's like maybe multiple years a process of documentations, and you have to do due diligence and everything. But then with what we have right now on Solana, you actually can getting capital in. You can issue a token in under like 5 minutes. And then you can actually publish it in many of the marketplace or in some launchpad, and then you can actually get in capital. You can access to the international capital, not only from Vietnam but international capital. And then from that capital, you can actually building your products. You can deliver some values. So it significantly reduce the time and effort for you to actually access to all the ingredients you need to build something. And to me, that is...
And Birdeye's the data layer that allows you to be able to get there. So there's the launch pads that allow you to create like an asset or a token, and then you need Birdeye to ostensibly help kind of bring that data to life, right?
Yes, we try to democratize on the information. So it's like as long as somebody raising fund or somebody trading tokens, we aim to the future that, okay, everything gonna be available on Birdeye under 1 second after everything happened. Anywhere in the world, if somebody raising fund here in Vietnam or in the US, or they making any trades under 1 second, so we call it sub-second updates, you're gonna know that. So it's gonna empower, it's gonna unlock a lot of possibilities, because as a retail users, you can see it on the dashboard. But if you are coding, you are developing a bot, for example, to detect all those signals, then your latency is under 1 second.
Yeah, but I think what you're talking about is very Web3 enablement of internet capital markets. Now, if you bring this back into Vietnam, right, how do you see internet capital markets playing out in Vietnam, where there's a lot of talks about new rules on digital assets that are happening in Vietnam? So where do you see the future of internet capital markets in Vietnam?
Yep. So I think in Vietnam, there are already a lot of teams actually already raised fund, already access to the international capital in the last few years. But now in this year, the government start to put all those into regulations and clearing the path so that many other teams can actually follow that one and doing the same. So I think the public's already ready for that. And now the government officials are already signaling that, okay, they're gonna working to make that even easier and make that more legal for people doing so. So I think the future is quite bright. And as I go to this conference, we see that a lot of teams are actually very positive about the future. They are doing something. A lot of people are doing something, and something pretty big as well. I think in the scale of Web3 projects here in Vietnam historically.
But outside of just getting the ability to put assets on chain, right? I think you could say that internet capital markets is almost from a bottoms-up perspective, right? Just it's lowering the barriers overall. And let's talk about one really interesting use case, right? Remittance, right? In Vietnam, I think there's $16 billion of remittance that comes into Vietnam every single year. It's about 7% is what traditional rails, banking rails, charge to bring that money into Vietnam using Western Union, WisePay, things like that. An interesting statistic I just read was that about 8% of the monies that come into Vietnam, at least in 2024, use crypto rails from a peer-to-peer market, right? And if you're using peer-to-peer, you're essentially getting 0% of that money. So that's about 1.1 or $1.2 billion that crypto users, right, in Vietnam were able to save and put into their pocket back and get back into the economy. Do you think? Do you feel that Vietnam has already started using internet capital markets, and how do you see that progressing?
Yeah, the whole story, and if you actually observe how it's happening in the last few years, and especially in the last few months, you're gonna feel very surprised because of the speed things are happening, right? And I think it's up only, because it is something that when you see that there's a service which is faster, cheaper, and it's easier to use, then there's no reason why you're gonna stop it. Because the traditional financial world has been around for hundreds of years. And in the last couple of decades, every time that it tried to innovate, it caused the global crisis. The 98 things, the Asia financial market crisis, and then we have the global one. And then every time they try to do something, they grab the debt, a lot of things, and then it caused some problems. But then in crypto, in the last few years, we see a lot of innovations. There's we have remittance, we have lending protocol. I know that in Vietnam there are like AnsoFi, and there's some projects that are doing very well. And then we have the yield farming, which is a very new concept. So the innovation in Web3 keep happening, and then they are just like contributing to the whole ecosystem, which I enjoy a lot.
And these products are very difficult to access in traditional markets, right? Like it's very difficult for an average Vietnamese person to lend money or borrow money without doing a lot of different paperwork, and kind of Web3 makes it easier.
Yep, totally agree. I think Web3 actually enable a lot of things that in the traditional market you cannot do that, basically, because of the regulation, because of the technology barriers and everything. But then with Web3, there's a lot of new possibilities is happening right now.
Right. But I think this is why a lot of the new laws are coming into place, so that there are structural kind of, I wouldn't say barriers, but there are rules to the game now, right? Do you think overall this is going to help expand the market and get more people onto Web3?
For sure. Because, so I think we can think a little bit reverse this way. So imagine in the next, 5 or 10 years, when half of the market is using stablecoin, like you and me, when we do like transferring or buy something, we use stablecoin, and then we say that how about now we use something similar to the traditional market, the traditional financial market. So it's like every time we transfer, we take like about a few percent, and then the transfer may take about 1 day and everything. It's ridiculous that we may transfer back, right? So I think the whole world is, we are moving forward. We're not going back. So if taking, now we are having this conversation, but I think next year when we're thinking back, we might think that is ridiculous that you even have that conversation, because there's no other way. We're not going back to the traditional financial world, because Web3 is so advanced. It's cheaper, it's faster, it's more convenient. Everybody, the whole world is using that. So
because it's more money in people's pockets, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now Vietnam have a pretty high percentage of people trading crypto. I think so. But then will be more and more people using crypto, not only for trading, but also for the day-to-day life, like buying goods, commodity, investing, storing values, and thinking of new models. Yeah.
I think it's something along the lines of the low-end number is 25%, and the high-end number is 35% of the Vietnamese population who owns a crypto wallet and a crypto asset itself.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's very, very interesting that there are so many people actually holding crypto asset. So now what you're going to do with it? You will not hold it forever, right? You need to have a way to invest in it or spending it. And there's the whole world of possibilities and use case you actually can build and find a way so that people can actually spend that fund that they are having.
I think the big news and what's really driving a lot of this new growth in Web3 isn't necessarily the old DeFi kind of protocols and everything like that. I think it's institutional adoption. It's the fact that the government has now recognized crypto as a commodity, as a currency. I think the fact that you've got the Genius Act in the United States, the stablecoin the stablecoin Act in Hong Kong. Yeah, there's clarity. There's Genius in the United States. Stuff that's happening in Hong Kong, Singapore, even in Korea, and all of that is from kind of leading towards institutional adoption. Let me ask you, the first part of this question is like, how do you see Birdeye playing a role in it? Do you see that Birdeye will evolve its platform to work with like these TradFi people who are trying to bridge to Web3?
Yeah, so it is a fact that we're already working with a lot of institutional players. We are working with many leading hedge funds in New York from Wall Street. So we're working with them to providing the data. We're indexing their data, and then we provide it to many other people who needing those data. And I think that thinking forward, like in the future of next few years, we are still doing the same, because I think that financial data is big enough, like for not only for us but for many other companies. Probably we will not going to exchange or wallets or something like custody users fund and things. But we want to be the part that to make the assessing of information more easy to people, because in the financial world, data is power, right? Knowledge is power, and the fast data is actually more powerful. Even few hundred milliseconds is make a very big difference. So I think our part in the world, in the financial world, in the crypto world, is that we will try to be stay relevant to our with the market by using like providing the best data service.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, we were talking earlier about the digital technology industry laws that at least passed in Vietnam on June 14th. And it's supposed to take effect in, I think, January 1st, 2026. And there's supposed to be a lot of stuff that's happening in between now. How do you think a lot of these new regulations will kind of affect the market, right?
Well, I think it's going to affect the market in a quite positive way, I think, because it definitely clear the path so that people know that, okay, what is okay and what is not to do. They know that at least now we have a definition of digital asset. It is commodity, right? So then the whole regulation is going to follow that one, and you're going to regulate that kind of assets. And also, it also like signaling. It's a symbolic act, and knowing that, okay, the government is actually paying attention to what we are doing here. I think even in this conference, there are some people from the government officials attending, which is a very good thing.
They're the co-sponsor, right? The Ho Chi Minh City is the co-sponsor for Conviction,
which is, I think, a very good thing. It's something that we really hoped for in the last few years, and now it's finally happening. So I think things are very, very bright. But of course, when you play by the rule, then you have to know the rules, right? And actually, you actually have to know that, okay, there will be people watching, and so you have to be a little bit more careful. But then that's good. That's good.
I think we're both in the industry, but I do feel like we both have a contrarian perspective on the new digital asset laws, right? People are always afraid of change, right? Because we've basically been working in a gray zone in Vietnam, and now there's going to be clarity. But I've always said that if crypto ever wanted to grow up from a $3 trillion asset class globally to say $10, $20 trillion, you have to play by the rules, right? Exactly as you said. You have to get those guardrails. You have to get those regulations in place. You have to have buy-in from the top down in order for that to happen, right?
I totally agree with that one.
Let me ask you, if there were three things in the next, say, year that you think that Vietnam would see tokenized, right? What do you think? What kind of assets do you think those would be?
Very big questions. I mean, like,
we're hypothesizing, not financial advice.
Not financial advice, guys.
Yeah, just we're hypothesizing here.
I'm not working for the government, so I don't know. I'm just talking from what I know from the all the clans and many other countries that I read about. So I think so first of all, we saw that we already have a lot of stocks being tokenized in the United States, right? So I think that that will be applied to Vietnam as well. I think we can come back to the way that why tokenize at the first place, right? Why should we tokenize something? Is that because we're gonna attract more investors, or is that make it more attractive? Like technically, I don't think it's gonna make the asset itself more attractive, but then it's gonna make it more accessible to the investors, either in Vietnam domestically or internationally. So I think with that regards, I think something. By being issued by the Vietnamese entities, going to be quite attractive to the international investors if we tokenize it. Something like Vietnamese bonds going to be quite attractive because now the international investors they're going to have to register and everything. But if we make it easier for them, then probably there'll be more people buying it. So the government bonds and then the gold also is okay because of the local demand. Currently, people still want to hold the physical gold, but then that's risky, right? Because you actually find a way to store it. So I think gold, and then stock, yeah.
Get it out of under the mattress and actually digitize it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You only need to have a wallet, and that's it. Nobody know.
But I mean, that's a hard thing to get rid of from a cultural perspective because Vietnamese people love to hold assets. As my good friend Will talks about all the time, there are rows of streets in Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi that sell safes, right? So it's getting past that mentality.
Yeah, I mean, like, but I think if we tokenize something like that one, there will be more people holding that. Or let's say now we have like 10% of the population is holding physical gold, but then now if we tokenize it, probably there will be like another 5%. Something like that.
Yeah.
So it's going to
definitely expanding the market, right? Okay. Well, I think that's pretty much all the time we have the questions. I mean, listen, this was a fantastic conversation, and I appreciate everybody coming out here, especially this late in the day. And thank you, Ka, for spending the time here. So thank you very much, and I hope you guys got something out of this.
Thank you very much.